Who's everybody? Hello, Dominic. How are you?
Great. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm making you co-host.
Okay, perfect.
And Holly and Ashley should be joining.
Okay.
Connecting is Robin. Robin is not only a member of TCN, she's our board president.
Great.
And super awesome person at Tower Health.
Super awesome.
Wow. Love those words.
Okay. So are you going to be sharing your screen?
Yeah, I do have my PowerPoint. Yep.
Okay. Do you know how to do that?
I do not.
Okay. At the bottom, since
Yep.
I'm co-host, you should see where it says share screen and you just click on that.
Okay.
And then you'll choose desktop or your PowerPoint, wherever it is, whichever you're comfortable with. And then it's going to let us see you.
Excellent.
All right.
Do you want me to do that now or?
Oh, no. We'll
Okay.
do a couple of introductions first.
Okay, great.
And Holly Parker has joined. She is the executive director.
Hi there.
Ashley's here. And we have,
Hello. Thanks for joining us, Dominic.
Pleasure is all mine.
and we should
Our
have,
board chair is also on the call, I see. Robin McMonigal.
Yes, the super awesome, fantastical. Something. I added something there.
which was very appropriate.
No, it is not.
You sound like Holly. Me and Ashley this morning were like, Holly, you're amazing. Stop it. Because she was like, I got to do this and that.
Yeah, we have hat hair from wearing so many hats, I think.
Well, you seen me with my hats, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank God.
Yeah. I like it.
Hats have become my COVID saviors. We'll wait a couple more minutes. I'm going to turn my camera off and try to make him check and see about some emails.
I think it's funny that when she turns her camera off, it's me.
Yeah.
I'm just appearing,
I'm going to put your picture.
I guess because I'm the technical owner of the Zoom account, I'm appearing in multiple places here. It's me and my clone.
That's right.
It's all of your personalities. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
right, exactly. It's really the one with makeup and the one without.
There it is.
And for all of these reasons, we need this training today.
I should have put up Holly as my my video, the sticker you got for me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna grab it if I can. I can, it's attached. It's,
Oh, no.
I stuck it on something.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it just dragged the whole filing cabinet over then.
Yeah, heavily meditated.
Yeah. Okay, so I know we're waiting for a few more.
I tried to get a few people to sign up. The timing was not good for today, but
Right.
couple of my people that I know are very interested. But
Well, we are
Yeah.
recording, so we can make the recording available to your teams as well.
yeah, that's perfect. I will probably share it with a group of them at once.
And you're right, Robin, because I checked the emails, and including yourself, I believe there was at least 2 others from Tower Health who had responded.
Okay. And so
We'll wait till 12:05. It's 12:03. We'll give it 2 more minutes.
you never know who may pop into my office too and sit behind me, so.
Right.
Oh, and you know what I'm going to do? I am going to broadcast us on Facebook too. Let me see if I can figure that out, because sometimes people will be on Facebook and they'll join. So I'm going to say live on Facebook.
Yeah.
Let's see, let me do that. Oh, got to get my glasses on. It's preparing for the live stream. I don't know if you guys can still see me while I'm doing this.
We can see you.
Dominic, can you spell your last name again? K-A?
YATTA.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna push the button that says go live and see what happens.
Yeah, it says
It says-
meeting now streaming.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Adrian.
Okay,
So do we want to get started?
sure.
All right, so we are coming to you live on Facebook, and we're also recording this session so that we can make it available to folks who could not join us today. I am definitely not going to introduce myself because everyone on the call knows me pretty well. So I'm just going to turn it over to Adrian and Dominic to start the presentation.
Thank you, Holly. And welcome everyone to our, I think this is only our second Facebook Live / Zoom webinar. And our guest today is Dominic. He is from Mainline Health. He is super awesome. We've had great conversations about mindfulness. And in these times of COVID stress, racial stress, and all kinds of work change stress, it is very important that we learn some techniques so that we can be our best selves. So I'm going to enable Dominic to introduce himself further. He is going to share his screen and talk to us about how we can stress less and be our best. So Dominic, please take it away.
Thank you, Adrian. I really appreciate your warm welcome as well as the opportunity to provide this for our groups here. That's very exciting. And I think you teed it up beautifully. During this, as we like to say, COVID anxiety, the importance of mindfulness takes on a whole new meaning. And later on, all the racial injustice and unrest, even more important as we're going to talk about how we just make this a way of life. So with that in mind, I'm going to attempt to share my screen here. So let me see. And let me get back to the beginning. Apologize for that. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome,
You want to put
great.
it in slideshow view?
Yes, I will do that right now. Thank you very much. So, first of all, a little bit about me before we go to the agenda. As advertised, I work for Mainline Health. During the day, I am the system director for patient experience. I'm also a certified professional coach, and I provide executive coaching and leadership coaching here as an internal coach. And what I've really found myself gravitating for, regardless of the issue, regardless of the challenge, regardless of the obstacles, for me, it always comes back to mindfulness. So I've really incorporated that in everything that I do. And so that's what this session is all about, to get you somewhat grounded. We could spend days, weeks, months talking about mindfulness, and I know I only have about 38 minutes left. So I'm going to give you a high level, give you some homework to do, but obviously we can talk offline. So let's go over what we're going to cover today. First of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about what is and what is not mindfulness. I'm going to talk about attitudinal foundations of mindful practices. And again, this is more than just sitting in a chair or sitting on a cushion. This is really what I love to say, this is a way of life. And I'm going to talk about how to make that happen. We're going to talk about the benefits of mindfulness, kind of what our whole introduction was all about, and talk about types of mindful practices. Basically, everything that you do to just get through your day can be mindful, and I'm going to highlight some of those. And then, as always, we want to give you a little taste of it, right? Wet your whistle just a little bit. So we're going to actually do a 10-minute body scan mindfulness practice, talk about how it felt, anything that came to light, and then talk about those ways of incorporating mindfulness into everything that you do. So let's talk about what it is and what it isn't. And I love these definitions. There are many out there, but it's the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. You know, for me, I love how Jon Kabat-Zinn put it. It's that focused attention or awareness of whatever you're doing in the moment. Second definition, as you see there, a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, and I love this part, while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, bodily sensation, and can be used as a therapeutic technique. As part of my background, I have a background in behavioral health, and I use mindfulness practices, as with many of my clients, to help them manage stress and anxiety and show up as the people they wanted to show up, be it at work, be it in their relationships, their community involvements, whatever that is. Mindfulness is a big part of that. I'm also a speech coach, and mindfulness for me is the whole ballgame when it comes to delivering effective presentations and speech. And this other one, it's so simple yet so powerful. It's just taking the time to just notice. So instead of going from meeting to meeting, phone call to phone call, what are we doing in between those times as we're walking to that meeting, or we're walking these days from our home office to the kitchen? Are we thinking about that last meeting? Or are we thinking about the meeting coming up? Are we really watching every step that we go down and watching that glass that we pull out of the cabinet and filling it up with water? That's really mindfulness. Now, what mindful is not? I think there's a lot of myths that need to be debunked about mindfulness. And you can see it's that emptying of the mind, right? I have to completely have nothing going on, or I haven't achieved mindfulness. I'm going to say it's just the opposite. We'll talk more about that. Or it's that strict, rigid process of deep meditation for hours at a time. Now, who's got hours of time, right, Dominic? I'm too busy with this. I'm jumping on, and that's my next Zoom call. Totally get that. Now, I'm going to contradict myself here right now. If mindfulness works for you as a strict, rigid process of deep meditation for hours at a time, because we know that people that do that, we've heard about the monks, we've heard about other practices and other spirituality that does that. If that works for you and that is a lifestyle that you can fundamentally hold, then I say go for it. There isn't one size fits all with mindfulness. This is really about, with many things in our life, trying different things, see what sticks, what works for this at this point in our life, and then how do we incorporate that into a regular practice. Mindfulness really evolves over time. And I know I've been on this mindfulness journey for approximately 25 years. My practice looks nothing like it did 25 years ago because I was in a different place. I had different commitments. I had a different schedule. So mindfulness as your life continues to evolve. Okay, attitudinal foundations of mindfulness. So this is more than just taking time to notice your breath. This is, as I've been talking about, is a real way of life. And I think many of these will resonate with you. And imagine if the world could just achieve one or two of these currently, that in everything that we're facing, what a different world we would live in. So just think about the whole world of non-judging. And this really starts internally, because a lot of the root of anxiety is we're probably being pretty hard on ourselves. We're holding ourselves up to a different standard than we might be holding others. So we may be participating in judging ourselves, as well as, and you don't have to go very far to see this, social media, the news, just walking down the street, there's a lot of judging of others. When we remove that and really go more into some of the other attitudinal foundations, watch what changes in how you view the world. Watch how you show up differently. Watch how your relationships blossom when you're not hard on yourself and you're not hard on the people around you. There's a lot of patience. This will not come easy. Again, I've been doing this for over 25 years. There's some days that I struggle with all of this. Again, be kind to yourself. Be kind to those around you. And as I love to go to the next one, always begin with a beginner's mind. I could think I could study this, I could get a PhD in this, but the beauty of a beginner's mind, I can always learn something from someone else and their practice, their approach, their philosophy of life. And when I hold a space and room for that, I become a better person. I become a better meditator. I become a better system director for patient experience. I become a better father. I become a better husband, whatever that must be. Love this next one, trusting ourselves. We know ourselves the best. So with all of my recommendations, all of my guidance today, do what works for you. It's this self-reliance. You know what's going to work. You know what are your triggers. So always have that intuition and totally immerse yourself into it. The more we become self-reliant, the more we trust what's happening in our body, the more we're in control of our breath. Watch again what happens in all parts of our lives. Now, this is going to be the hardest one, and I fall short on this one every time. It's all about schedule. It's all about goals. It's all about hitting metrics. It's all about hitting the bottom line. But this is all about non-striving. There is no place to go. When you talk about mindfulness and you talk about a mindfulness practice, it's just the act of being mindful. There's no goal. There's no way to say, oh, I was 80% today or I was 100% today. If you start holding yourself up to that standard, that's where the judgment will start to creep in. That's where the frustration, and quickly you will give this up. It's about acceptance. And it really ties into the next one, letting be and letting go, acceptance of who I am. That I can't be that meditator that maybe my spouse is, or that person I see on TV or books I've read about. No, it's all about self-acceptance of where you are and where others are on this journey. And that's all about letting go of what I cannot control and how that other person is viewing me and thinking about me. Once we're able to just notice that and say, oh, that's interesting. I never thought I would think that way about that specific issue or subject. Okay, I might have to look into that a little bit more, and then just move on from there. And then lastly, with everything that's very healthy and worthwhile pursuing, it's all about perseverance. We're not going to get it right. We're going to have good days. We're going to have bad days. We're going to fall into those old patterns. But the more we just get back to the practice, that's the beauty of mindfulness. In each moment, you can recalibrate yourself to say, I didn't handle that last conversation well. I'm going to do something different for my next meeting or my next phone call or my next Zoom meeting. That's the beauty of mindfulness. So benefits of mindfulness practice. Again, we could spend the whole 45 minutes talking just about the health benefits, and there are greater ones. What I do is I give you a list because this is really about addressing all aspects of your life. So for the sake of time, I only want to highlight a few of these. But if your goal is to be more focused and be more productive in all parts of your life, mindfulness is going to quickly help you on that journey. Can't say enough about this one in the current environment, and I would say an environment that we have to deal with as a country forever. It blasts biases and filters and how we're perceiving situations, groups of people, issues that we're facing. Through mindfulness, we can take that beginner's mind. We can do a less self-judging and other judging to really look at, hey, how am I viewing this situation? And now how do I get in touch with how this other person may be dealing with the same situation, because I haven't walked in their shoes and they haven't walked in my shoes either. It rockets resilience, and we can't say enough about resiliency with everything we're facing, especially over the last 4 or 5 months. And it stomps out stress too, which I think we're all experiencing now. By practicing mindfulness and getting in touch with our breathing, I think we can reduce those stress levels and, again, show up, make better decisions, and be the kind of people that we want to be based on all of our commitments in our life. So types of mindfulness practice, I think, we're used to, or really looking at those sitting mindfulness practice. That's what's portrayed in the media. That's when we think about a mindful or meditation practice. That's what would commonly comes up in mind. So it's a focus on the breath. And we'll do a little bit of that as part of the body scan that we're going to do here in a few moments. Also, you might have utilized guided imagery in the past, and that was a big part of my work as a psychotherapist. I used a lot of guided imagery to help people deal with stress, help them deal with past traumas, and then be able to really think differently about the future they wanted to create for themselves. You might have also heard about mindfulness-based stress reduction. This is an 8-week structured class that's offered in many parts of the Philadelphia region. We offered here at Mainline Health for our employees that work at our Miramont treatment facility, which is a facility for addictions. You might have also heard it now referred to as mindfulness-based stress management. That's taking a lot of hold. But you can go out and Google this. There's actually a free online class if you're motivated to do with it. I've done that in conjunction with the actual in-person class, and it was a game changer for me. It'll walk you through a lot of what we're talking about today on this webinar, but at a deeper level. You're going to do some homework, as well as you're going to practice this whole sitting mindfulness practice as part of the every week in-class session. So I can't say enough about this, especially given everything we're facing now. Mindfulness can take place of eating. I don't know about you, but I didn't get the COVID, but I got the other part of COVID, and I think I gained 19 pounds. So I need to get back to my mindful eating, because it's so easy when you're on the fly, you're anxious just to grab for. And now that our home offices are just steps away from that dreaded kitchen and refrigerator, can't tell you enough how it's so easy to participate in mindless eating. But mindful eating can be a great stress reducer. And it can also help you enjoy the food that you're actually eating, and you actually taste it. I always do the example, how many of us remember what we had for breakfast? And a lot of times by 12 o'clock, we're just like, well, I think I had a piece of toast. But I always like to push back, well, what did it taste like? I don't know. I was eating in the car. I was drinking coffee. I was on the phone at the same time. Also, mindful walking, and there's many, many more. And we'll talk more about these once we get to ways that you can incorporate this into your lives. So it's time, my friends. We're going to put you through a 10-minute body scan mindful practice. So hopefully you're in a comfortable place. I'm going to play the video. Just follow. Our guide will give us some great instructions to get us ready for this. If you want to shut off the lights because you enjoy that lower tones, go ahead and do that right now. But let's jump right into it, and let's make sure this is queuing up for everybody on the line.
Dominic, are we supposed to hear something?
Yes.
We don't hear it.
Okay. I was afraid of that, and I tested it earlier, but it wasn't working. So thank you for that. I'm just going to jump in here and do one of my meditations instead. So sorry about that. So,
No problem.
So sitting in an upright, dignified position in your chairs, or if you'd like to get on the floor, that is fine too. I'd ask that your feet be flat on the floor, your hands resting comfortably in your laps, and when you're ready, closing the eyes. And if you're not comfortable closing the eyes, then just slowly lower your gaze a few feet in front of you. And now we're going to take a few cleansing breaths together. So breath in and breath out. Breath in and breath out. And now I'd like you to start at the top of your head, noticing your hair and how it feels against your scalp. And now moving a little further down your forehead area, notice any areas of stress in your forehead and make a complete circle from forehead to the back of your head and then back around again. Notice any tension at the top part of your head and the forehead area. And if that exists, just slowly release that, breathing into your forehead and top of head. And now moving to the mid part of your face to include the eyes, nose, and mouth. Just notice what's going on. Not trying to change anything, but just aware how your eyes, nose, and maybe it's the air going through your nostrils and then coming back out again, as well as with your mouth, any dryness, soreness, or wetness from your saliva. And again, release any tension or stress that may be contained in these areas by just slowly breathing into these areas and breathing out. We now move to the neck area, which can be a source of stress for some of us. Just feel what's happening in your neck, both the back and the front. You might just want to make a quick adjustment or movement, again, to release that stress by just breathing into this area and releasing that stress. And now let's move on to our shoulders. Again, another area, common area that where we might hold stress. Let your shoulders rest and release if they are tight. And now moving down to the length of our arms, all the way to our wrists and our hands as they sit comfortably in our laps. Again, notice what's happening here. Any sensations. Maybe it's heat, maybe it's coolness. Again, just noticing, not trying to change anything. And now moving to our upper backs, again, another common area where we may hold some stress. Just notice how it feels in this upright position. And now our upper chest. And if you can, try to get in touch with the beating of your heart. As we move to our mid-torso, this is the area contained with all of our vital organs. Just take a moment to appreciate everything happening in this area of our body, how it all works together to keep us functioning. Notice any tightness or stress that might be happening in this part of your torso. And now our lower back, again, another common area that could be a place where we hold some stress. And again, if you're feeling that, slowly breathing into this area and just release it. Notice any tightness, any sensations. And then as we move around to the front, our lower abdomen, again, notice what's happening here as well. And as we move into our pelvis area, notice how it's making contact with the seat or the floor or whatever surface we may be on. Just notice how that feels. Which now takes us into our quads and our hamstring area as we move into the leg region. Notice what's happening in this region of our legs. Is there a tightness? Is there warmth? Another sensation? Again, just noticing and releasing. Now on to our knees. Feel the bend of the knee, especially for those that might be in a chair. How does this feel against the seat? And now on to our shins and our calves. Get in touch with any tightness that may be occurring here, and just offer these regions a nice deep breath and breathe into them. And then release. Notice where the mind is now. If it's gone somewhere else, no judgments. Let's just simply bring it back to our body scan right now as we make our way down to our ankles and our feet. Notice how these feel as they hit the floor for those that are sitting. Is it comfortable? Is it hard? Is it soft? Just notice. Breathe into these areas. And release. And now let's just take the body as a whole, making our way back up the body from our feet to our lower legs, upper legs, pelvis region, our torso, neck shoulders and the total length of our arms. And then out through our head and out the top. And let's take another few cleansing breaths as we finish up. Cleansing breath in and cleansing breath out. And before opening the eyes, for those that have closed their eyes, just remember this feeling as you think about the rest of your day. What kind of presence, how do you want to show up for everything else you have going on today and tonight? Remember this feeling. And now returning to the room, opening the eyes, wiggling toes and fingers, maybe stretching the neck out just a little bit. All right, welcome back. How'd that feel? Any reactions, thoughts? Is everybody still awake?
I was going to say, I'm completely sleepy now.
Good, good. Anything come up for you? What did you notice? If you are, feel comfortable sharing that you might not have been aware of?
I was sort of hyper aware of how my body was reacting to things. Like I could sort of feel things a little differently.
And you've just achieved a mindful moment. That is mindfulness in its purest form. Exactly what you did. And thank you for sharing that, because as I know I'm preaching to the choir on this one, our body is constantly giving us feedback and sharing data with us, but we don't always realize it or take the time to recognize it. And if we are feeling stress, if we're not at 100%, if we are getting tired or getting more grumpy or not handling conversations well, it's showing up somewhere in our body. And the body could be a great biofeedback, a mechanism for us to take that time to, first of all, notice, then do some stress release, do some breathing exercises, and then again, watch how we show up differently. We handle that conversation now that we've taken the time to notice. So thank you. Any others want to share anything that came up for you, or how did it feel going through that body scan?
I will add that I was not thinking about other things. I was able to focus on what I was experiencing. And that's a reliever in itself.
Thank you. That's it. And this takes practice. There's going to be days, as you can say, and you noticed I incorporated in it. Where's your mind now? Is it on your to-do list? Is it getting ready for the next meeting? And the mind was made to think. So if we think we're ever going to be mindless or not think of anything, we'd be setting ourselves up for failure. But I love that you were able to put all that aside and just focus from body part to body part. That is moments of mindfulness. So thanks for that feedback. Anyone else?
I was acutely aware of all the sounds that I don't pay attention to all day long.
Yes.
The traffic outside, the people walking past my door, etc.
Yeah. Becomes just that white noise. And again, going back to the original definition of mindfulness, it's just noticing and how we clue into all those different aspects of just nature and noise and the traffic and the humming of the air conditioner. And again, it's that constant noticing that is going to make us, again, show up differently and really enhance just how we're enjoying life, as well as be that, leader that we want to be. And because once you start noticing it for yourself, you help others notice it as well. So thank you for that. That's great feedback. And one that we hear a lot when I walk people through a body scan. meditation. Anything else? Well, thank you for that. I really, really appreciate that. So let's now talk about ways to incorporate mindfulness into your day, because again, we want to make this a way of life. So can't say enough for this. Set aside time period each day to do your practice, and again, you know yourself the best. Carve out where you're going to be successful. Say, well, I can do it at this time, but that's always when the phone's going to ring, or that's the time you're going to check your email. Again, you're not setting yourself up for success if you know it's time that cannot be sacred time, as I like to say, that you're going to devote to your practice. Now, again, a lot of people really talk about, oh, Dominic, they say that I should be doing this for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Again, you don't go out and run a marathon day one, right? You start, maybe walk a block, maybe 2 blocks, or run down the street. Start out slowly, get your momentum. Work your mindful muscles, as I like to say, and just like the athlete, you're going to build up your mileage. You're going to build up that time. Now, the other great pushback I get on this one, Dominic, I'm too busy. I don't have 5 minutes. So I didn't invent this, but I stole this from a mindfulness monk, and he says, if you don't have 5 minutes, then you need to meditate for at least 10 minutes, because obviously you must have so much stress in your life, and this is going to make you, again, show up differently. You're going to be more productive. You're going to be a better fill in the blank if, again, the more time you set aside. So what works best for me in my current schedule, first thing in the morning, as soon as I wake up, before I do anything else, I do my meditation practice, and then right before I go to bed. That might not work for you. Do what works best. Experiment, and as life changes, alter these times. And consider it just like a meeting. It's right up on my calendar, so I get a reminder, time to do your mindfulness practice. So I hold this sacred just like I would any other meeting that I need to show up for somebody else, or do parts of my job, or be there for my family. You have to be there for yourself. As part of the mindfulness-based stress reduction class, they talk a lot about the second bullet, reminders, visual signs, just to breathe. So at the end of the 8-week class, you're given little happy face, smiley face stickers. And what you're asked to do is put these in places that are going to be visual reminders, just to breathe, as well as break into some mindfulness practice. So on the side of your computer screen, on the rear view mirror in your car, in the mirror, in your bathroom. Those are just reminders that I can just take this moment just to breathe for myself, clear what's going on, get in touch with what's happening in my body, and then move on with my day. Again, it doesn't have to be week-long retreats, or I got to devote 2 hours every day. It's those moments of mindfulness that'll help you build your mindfulness practice. As I already talked about, while eating. Can't say enough about this. This is going to help you on so many levels of your life. As I mentioned, it's going to reduce the amount that you eat. It's going to help you enjoy your food, or maybe think about, oh, I always told myself I enjoyed this food, but now that I'm actually chewing it for more than 2 bites, what we recommend, chew it for 10 to 20 bites and then swallow. Hey, you might realize I don't enjoy this food anymore, or I really miss this food. I'm going to incorporate more of this into my diet. So actually eat less. It'll help with digestion, because the body can handle smaller quantities, and if it's being chewed properly. So it helps on so many different levels. As I already alluded to, while walking to a meeting or to the next, whatever you're going, taking that time to really notice what's around you as you walk down the hallway, or you walk from room to room. Hey, I never noticed that poster before, or that tree. I'm hearing more about that. I know for me, my home office now looks over this tree that I haven't given any attention to in the last 20 years, because I've never been able to work remote for this long. I now meditate on that tree and never realized how beautiful it is. And now I've even taken a step further. I'm fertilizing it, I'm watering it, because now I'm in touch with it. It just has taken on a whole new meaning for me. Love this next one. in everything going on, taking the time to really take stock of what's important to us and everything that we are so grateful and appreciative in our life, and journaling that before you're going to bed, because this has a real ripple effect. What you're doing unconsciously is programming your mind to get in touch with all those positive things and those positive people in our life. It's going to help with sleep. It's going to help us feel refreshed in the morning. It's going to strengthen those relationships when we do have contact with those people, that when we see them or email them the next time or have a Zoom meeting with them, we're going to think differently. We're going to have a different connection. So the ripple effects of gratitude journaling right before bed hits so many of the boxes. It's just amazing. And again, this is another practice that I do with my family. And it has changed the way we communicate and how we appreciate each other by doing this before we all go to sleep. And there's many other ways. Again, do what works for you. Again, you know yourself the best. You know what's going to be most motivating to yourself. You know, just like when you're starting a new exercise program or you're, going into a new project, you know how you like to set up your office. You know how you like to get new running shoes or you get that new workout bag. Do what works for you that's going to make you most successful. And what I say is make it a public contract too. Let other people know what you're doing too, so they can be your coach. They can be your accountability and reinforcer. Hey, Dominic, did you do your mindfulness today? Nope, thanks for that reminder. Appreciate you having my back. I'm going to go do that right now. So if you can excuse me for the next 10 minutes, I really appreciate your support on this. This is going to set you up, and then the momentum really carries out in all parts of your life. So I know we're coming up right on our time at 12:44. Any questions, other suggestions? Because again, I am not the expert in this, and I would love to hear what you have to say about this for our remaining time.
Well, Dominic, I think this fits perfectly into what we all need right now. And I'm wondering if you can share maybe some examples of how to do this, or some best practices during the workday. I think, as you said, people are running from meeting to meeting. I've had 2 Zoom calls already today, and I'm on the webinar, and then I have a Zoom call this afternoon. So I think, a lot of us are working in our home office, and that can be present a whole new challenge of stress because of all the stuff happening in the background, whether it's kids or animals or, what other distractions are happening when we're at home. So is there any tips or best practices for employing mindfulness during your workday?
Absolutely. It's a super question. And again, my staff and one of my other roles here is I'm on our faculty for many of our leadership classes. So every meeting, every class I hold, guess what I do right at the very beginning? I walk them through a 30 to 60 second mindfulness activity. And the response I've gotten, at first, people were looking at me like I had 4 heads. What do you mean, Dominic? We got a packed agenda. I got to go to another meeting. Don't pull this crap on me. But once they got into the practice and could actually have a built-in pause to transition from their previous meeting to now this meeting, the feedback I continue to get is it made them more focused. It made them more productive. It helped set the tone for a whole different meeting instead of coming in there and thinking, oh, I got to be adversarial. I got to get in there and get my piece of the pie or my part of the budget or whatever. It just set a really different tone. So starting each meeting with it, and again, it is stay the course. Perseverance is key, but people will come around, believe me, because they actually appreciate it. Just a real quick story. John Kabat-Zinn, who I referred to before, he holds a yearly retreat for CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. And when he started the sessions, he said, these guys aren't going to get it. And, he starts each of his sessions with a mindful moment. And he actually couldn't believe himself when he first started doing these retreats, because they were actually crying by the time everybody opened their eyes. And the feedback they all gave him is, everybody expects the world from us as CEOs. Just the minute that we didn't have to think about work or anything else, and they could just set time for themselves and get in touch with what was going on for them, was a game changer. And they took this back to their organizations and started incorporating it. So those are just a few recommendations. I hope they were helpful.
Yes, thank you so much. And I think, you know, we do provide a lot of webinars and workshops through TCN that we could consider offering, you know, a mindfulness moment at the beginning of those before we launch into whatever program we're offering. So that's a very, very good suggestion that hopefully if you'll join us on other webinars, you'll see that we're practicing that fully.
That's wonderful.
Does anybody else have any questions for Dominic? I know that we've had some views on Facebook as well. So the Facebook Live, we do have several people who are viewing us in that format, in addition to the recording here. So hopefully all of you in Facebook Live land have got your mindfulness mindset for the day. Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to say or share? Robin, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know that you do practice meditation, and you also are very conscious of mindfulness, and I appreciate that about you. Do you have any thoughts or inputs to offer?
I think one of the things, based on your question, Holly, that I find has worked well for me during the workday especially is when I'm driving back and forth from, you know, hospital to offices, not making phone calls the whole time, not being online, if you will, for that 5-minute drive between and things like that. And I find it's kind of like my timeout, my breath, take a breath. Because when I find by the time I get to the next destination, I'm more jittery. I'm more, you know, trying to process, okay, wait, I have to get ready for the next meeting. So that time out in between, whether you're at home and you got to take the dog out, or you're driving from place to place, or going from, you know, someone's office to the next office or whatever, I think we need, you know, for me, being conscious of taking that time out mentally and not be thinking ahead of, okay, what am I going to say next, or what do I have to call next, etc. Even when I'm walking up and down the steps at the hospital, I use that time to kind of take a time out.
Thank you, Robin, for sharing that. I know that you're really good about that, and I definitely look up to you for that. So thanks for sharing that.
Well, and on
Anyone
that
else?
one other comment on that,
Yeah.
as Dominic said, it works sometimes, it doesn't work 100% of the time. And if it doesn't work right now, it might work later, and not judging and letting yourself off the hook is really, really, really important.
Right, absolutely. Dominic, do you have any last words that you'd like to share for the group?
Stay the course. It's good. You're going to have good days and bad days, but you know, the beauty of mindfulness is you can always change in a moment's notice what's going on with you, how you're reacting, how you're responding, just by taking that breath. And I know it saved me many times for saying something I might regret, not showing up. Help me in presentations when you got that, you know, heckler in the background, always trying to poke holes in your arguments. Just by taking a breath sometimes and really understanding where that other person's coming from can change the whole tone of that presentation, the nature of that relationship. So it's just about practice, practice, and practice. So thank you again for this opportunity.
Well, thank you so much, Dominic. This will conclude our mindfulness presentation for the day. As I mentioned, we have recorded it. We are also live on Facebook, so there's multiple ways to access this presentation after the fact, and we would hope that you would all do so. Let us know if you need anything else, and again, thank you so much, Dominic. I know I actually feel better, so my 3:30 meetings should be pretty awesome because I feel like I'm in a pretty good headspace right now, so I appreciate that, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.